journey had been an insurmountable challenge. From the confines of the ghetto, you were well aware that pregnancy posed a significant problem. Every time the guards conducted roll call, their eyes would scan the crowd. Filled with a mixture of scrutiny and leering, upon reaching the transition camp, you quickly realized that concealing the growing bump on your stomach became an even greater priority. But what lay beyond? The discussions among fellow camp inmates circulated rumors of impending separation between men and women, and you feared losing your family and the limited protection they offered if you were transported any further. Inside, you resided the life of your unborn child, a child deemed illegal in the eyes of the Nazis, a child condemned to death by your captors. The fate that awaited pregnant women in the concentration camps stands as a testament to the extreme depths of human cruelty, deserving its own chapter in the annals of history. In this video, we're going to reveal all the gruesome things done to pregnant women by the Nazis in Auschwitz. In 1933, the enactment of the Law for the Protection of Hereditary Health established a disturbing precedent by explicitly permitting surgical sterilization for individuals deemed inferior by the Nazis. This law provided a legal framework through which Jewish individuals in the population could be forcibly sterilized. In a twisted double standard, the eugenicists within the Nazi high command sought to actively encourage pregnancies among German women to rejuvenate the nation while simultaneously aiming to curtail the birth rate of Jewish individuals who were viewed as a threat to their Aryan vision of the future. It is important to emphasize that Hitler placed a significant burden on German women, propagating the belief that they had a national duty to procreate in the eyes of the administration. Additionally, German women were prohibited by law from obtaining abortions. These discriminatory laws served as the foundation for the implementation of killings, sterilizations, and forced abortions within the ghettos and concentration camps. It's been argued that no other genocide in human history was as profoundly influenced by the language of law and science as the Holocaust. Within the context of concentration camps, the experiences of pregnant inmates encompassed all the horrors associated with a Nazi genocidal experiment: grueling labor, extreme deprivation, medical experimentation, and savage punishments. Pregnant women in particular faced heightened vulnerability on two significant fronts. Firstly, they bore the responsibility of safeguarding their own health and the well-being of their unborn children, making them susceptible to diseases, malnutrition, and a lack of proper medical care that could result in stillbirths or miscarriages. Secondly, as women, they confronted the added perils of sexual assault and coerced exploitation, a threat not faced by their male counterparts. During the wartime conditions of the concentration camps, pregnant women endured unimaginable hardships, their lives and those of their unborn children hanging in the balance amidst an environment of systematic brutality and dehumanization. Nazi medical experiments conducted on pregnant women in the concentration camps primarily focused on studying the effects of starvation and malnutrition during pregnancy. Unfortunately, these experiments often resulted in the death of both the fetus and the mother. While the number of women who gave birth in Auschwitz was relatively small, the majority of pregnancies ended in stillbirth or miscarriage, adding to the already devastating toll of human life in the camps. However, there's one story of resilience and inspiration amidst the inhumane circumstances of pregnancy in the concentration camps: the story of Stanislawa Leszczyńska. Stanislawa, a Polish nurse, was born on May 8, 1896, faced the horrors of her country's invasion in 1939. Living under Nazi occupation as occupied Poland, Leszczyńska and her family actively participated in the Polish resistance, clandestinely providing food and documents to Jews confined within ghettos. After 4 years of risking their lives in this dangerous work, Leszczyńska and her family were eventually discovered by the Gestapo, the Nazi secret police. In 1943, Stanislawa Leszczyńska was forcibly separated from her family and deported to Auschwitz. Remarkably, her journey through Auschwitz marked only the beginning of her extraordinary and heroic war story. For a pregnant woman deported to a concentration camp or a transition camp, the prospects were unimaginably grim. The daily conditions within the camps, characterized by squalor, inadequate sanitation, and scarce food, significantly increased the likelihood of pregnancy ending in miscarriage. The deteriorating health conditions in the camps also affected women's menstrual cycles, often resulting in amenorrhea, the cessation of menstruation. This created a dual sense of panic among women in the camps. Were they pregnant, a circumstance heavily forbidden and likely to lead to their death, or were they infertile, destined to never bear children again if they somehow survived the horrors of the Nazi regime? SS commanders overseeing the concentration camps meticulously controlled the populations, aiming for a specific and systematic approach. This included the mandating of the reporting of any pregnancies and ordering women to undergo abortions. Tragically, this extreme violation of reproductive rights led to drastic measures. Pregnant women in the camps faced two options: submitting to the forced abortions imposed by Nazis or seeking clandestine abortions through fellow inmates, a desperate attempt to save their own lives. However, even these covert abortions were a desperate struggle against overwhelming odds. Forced abortions were compulsory for women in the ghettos, transition camps, and concentration camps, with doctors under strict SS orders to perform them upon discovering a pregnant Jewish woman. The reproductive experiences of pregnant women in the concentration camps were marred by coercion, tragedy, and limited choice. The Nazis systematically stripped these women of their right to bear children, subjecting them to unimaginable suffering and depriving them of control over their own bodies. During the darkest chapter of pregnancy at the concentration camps, women faced the harrowing danger of forced pregnancy inflicted upon them against their will. In a society that dehumanized Jewish identity and criminalized relationships between Jewish and German citizens, a tragic and sinister history of sexual assault unfolded within the confines of the camp. Women of all ethnicities in the concentration camps were at risk of being subjected to prevalent sexual violence and rape by the SS camp guards, with Jewish women being particularly targeted due to their persecution. The Nazi ideology behind the forced sexual violation of Jewish women represented a despicable manifestation of the human capacity for degradation, viewing those deemed inferior as objects to be violated and shamed. As a result of the forced sexual encounters, Jewish female inmates were at risk of becoming pregnant. However, pregnancy among camp inmates was strictly forbidden and carried to death sentence for the expectant mothers. Refusing to comply with orders for abortion posed significant risks as well, including deportation to another death camp or execution within the camp as a warning to other female inmates about the consequences of pregnancy. Heinrich Himmler, the architect of the SS, implemented a form of educational punishment for pregnant women, which included public whippings administered under the supervision of camp doctors, who were explicitly prohibited from providing any medical aid to those undergoing such punishment. Annelies Kohlmann, an infamous SS guard at the Nagerbahn subcamp, gained notoriety for beating and whipping pregnant women. In the midst of this grotesque reality, Stanislava Leschiska, upon her arrival at Auschwitz, took matters into her own hands by revealing her skills as a midwife to the camp doctor. She was subsequently assigned to work in the camp's maternity ward, a grim and somber brick barracks where pregnant women were primarily sent to meet their deaths. Many pregnant women at Auschwitz were condemned to the gas chambers. The system within the maternity ward was operated by two abhorrent figures, Sister Clara and Sister Fanny. Repulsed by their malevolent actions, Leschiska steadfastly refused to participate in their diabolical deeds. Despite threats, beatings, and the constant risk of being murdered for her defiance, Leschiska chose a different path. She provided care for the expectant mothers and courageously delivered their babies. It was an impossible task undertaken with immense bravery and defiance. Fully aware of the harsh reality, Leschiska became a guardian of protection and compassion. With limited resources, a solitary brick stove, no running water, and scant food, Leschiska, along with her daughter, became the only hope for the pregnant inmates. Astonishingly, during her time at Auschwitz, Leschiska delivered around 3,000 babies over 2 years, steadfastly refusing to harm a single one, even standing up to the notorious Joseph Mengele in the process. Approximately 500 of the infants delivered under Leschiska's care went on to be adopted by families and survived into adulthood. After the war, Stanislawa returned to Poland and continued her work as a nurse. For her remarkable courage and life-affirming actions, she was nominated for sainthood by the Catholic Church. She remains an extraordinary symbol of unwavering principles in the midst of a living hell, a true hero of the war. And that concludes our episode today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe for more.